All right, everybody. I'm going to talk today about, actually, I'm going to show you how to make what I call keto protein mud. So, this is basically going to be like drinking a protein shake, a keto friendly protein shake, but it's going to be, in my opinion, a little bit more satiating than just swigging down a drink. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I drink a protein shake, I mean, I might as well have had a glass of water pretty much. I don't feel any less hungry. I mean, I'm glad I took it because I'm getting my protein, but that's about it. So I'll get into the uh, protein mud ingredients here. This is basically all the stuff you would need, and this is some different options and things over here. So you need some protein. Um, You actually don't need the egg, but if you're someone who's trying to get raw egg into your diet, that might sound weird to some of you, but there are some health benefits to that, as far as I can tell on my research. But you can put the raw egg in it. If you don't want raw egg, you can replace it with something like this, which you might wind up using anyways, or some heavy whipping cream. This stuff is really good. If you don't like almond milk or the nut kind of milks, you probably won't like it. But if you do, you can see the nutritional information on there. It's very good for keto. A little high on protein for keto, but we're not using a lot of it. So, anyways, I'll get into making it here because I know you don't want to hear me talk about it forever without showing you. So, basically, your two main ingredients are going to be some kind of oil. Doesn't have to be canola oil. I'm just using it as an example because it's not the worst kind of oil, but it's also pretty cheap. It's not as cheap as vegetable oil, but it's cheaper than olive oil. But you can use olive oil or whatever kind of oil you want, as long as it's basically the kind of oil that's around 100 calories per tablespoon, which I think is pretty much every oil, as far as I know. I also have a special blend of oils that I'll talk about. You're going to need a tablespoon to measure of some kind, because if you go over or under on your oils, that can be a pretty big difference of calories and of your protein to fat ratio. So I put in two, I've been lifting weights, so I go a little higher on the protein ratio. It's still going to be 2/3 fat and 1/3 protein with a really small amount of carbs, because you can see on this, it's also casein protein, which is supposedly more keto friendly than whey protein, which makes sense because it digests slower, so your body's more likely to use the fat as fuel versus protein, which I guess can happen. Well, I mean, obviously, you eat too much protein and not enough fat, you're gonna not really be on the keto diet. And then whey protein digests faster, so it's gonna just compound that effect. So, got your 2 scoops of oil. Now, if you want to go more, keto, you can put in like, so basically the oil is 100 calories per tablespoon. Scoop of protein is about 100 calories, whether it's whey, casein. So I'm putting in 2 scoops of oil, 2 tablespoons of oil, and a scoop of protein. So that's 2/3 fat, 1/3 protein. Now, if you want it to be 75% fat, you do 3 tablespoons of fat. If you want it to be 80, you do 4. If you go above that, you're probably going to start being kind of liquidy, and you might have to start adding in some other things like almond flour, which I've used before, but you don't want to use too much of it because it does have some carbs. I mean, not very many net carbs, but if you're really strict on your keto, you don't really want to use too much of that. But if you're at 80%, I mean, you'll be fine. That's plenty good for keto. And if it's casein protein, that helps too. So you can see here, it's still pretty dry. So I add in the egg. Like I said, you don't have to add in the egg, but then you'll have to add in something like this. And you don't have to use much, so it's not going to throw anything off really. You can calculate it into your macros or whatever if you want, but it's not really going to make a huge difference because it doesn't take much of this to thin out or make this a more wet mixture. So you can see that's a little more muddy. And like I said, the 2/3 is for strict keto, it's a little heavy on the protein and light on the fat. And plus I'm adding in this cocoa powder. I estimate it. I mean, you can mess with it. You can put none of it in there and it still tastes okay. So, I mean, it still tastes like the protein powder, which is pretty decent if you ask me. And then I used to put the same amount of monk fruit, by the way. This is monk fruit. One thing I forgot to mention here is that you can also just add water a little bit if you want. Doesn't take much. And also, if you add more cocoa and less monk fruit, it's going to give it more of a dark chocolate taste, which personally I like. This is the best kind of monk fruit I've found so far, and it's actually a pretty decent price. Monk fruit is definitely more expensive than sugar and it's not much more expensive than other artificial sweeteners. I don't even know if you would call this one artificial though, but it's healthier than your other fake sugars, whatever you want to call them. So you can see this is like definitely too clumpy. So I could add in some heavy whipping cream or this. I mean, even if you don't like almond milk and stuff like that, it's still gonna taste good because it just makes it. I had this in the freezer, so oops, that was actually too much. I just bumped into my protein thing. But this is 1 tablespoon is 50 calories, and it's pretty much pure fat. So out of 300 calories so far, I just added 50. So you could, I mean, that's just making it more keto anyways, so. And for this mixture, that's pretty much it. I mean, you could make this into a protein shake if you wanted to, but I like the way this tastes personally. And it tastes a little bit grainy because it's the casein protein, but I mean, it's still got, the monk fruit tastes to me like almost like sugar. The cocoa, it's good for you. It's no calories. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 15 calories. But it also has 2 grams of fiber, so that's really low on the carbs. You don't have to use much of it. The monk fruit is actually 0 calories, and a lot of people get thrown off by the 4 carbs, but that's actually ethanol, sugar ethanol, or whatever. It's a carbohydrate that can't be processed. It's 0 calories. Anyways, I'm taking a bite of this right now. And it tastes chocolatey and delicious to me, though. But, you know, I'm on a keto diet, so I also try to eat really healthy by most people's standards. So I'm used to eating some things that don't taste good. So to me, this is like freaking candy. This is my dessert. So anyways, that's the basic one. Like I said, if you don't want to be eating raw egg, just put some almond milk or something in it instead. There's a few other things you can do with this. So if you're like one who likes to have your whey protein instead of your casein protein after a workout, you can put, this is what I've got. I actually bought unflavored. Oh, and by the way, the other one has 2 grams of carbs, so they're low in carbs. But anyways, I bought the unflavored stuff, and it's just 2 ingredients. It doesn't have any of the sucralose, aspartame, anything like that, which I'm trying to cut out of my diet. So I'm switching to flavorless protein, and I'm just going to put more cocoa and monk fruit in it. But obviously I'm going to use this stuff because I don't want it to go to waste, but that's the last of it. Anyways, oh, the flavorless stuff also has less carbs. It's like 1 carb per scoop. And there's less of the artificial stuff in it. And you're actually getting a little bit more protein per scoop. So you can use less of a scoop to make this the same. You can see this one is 120 calories, so you might want to just dial the scoop back a little bit. So the flavorless stuff has a little bit more because it doesn't have the more protein for the volume because you don't have the extra stuff in it. Another thing you can do, I think it makes it taste really good, but I'm not doing it right now because I'm on really low carbs right now. You can put some mixed nuts in it. Got this at Smart and Final. It's like $17 for this huge can of mixed nuts, less than 50% peanut. You put whatever kind of nuts you want in there. I think it gives it a nice crunch. And even if you're like me and you're trying to watch your carbs, you can put the nuts in it and even just a few, and it'll give it a nice crunch to it. Okay, here's the other thing. You can bake this and put a pinch of it. I don't know the exact amount. I just put a pinch in there, and it helps it bake. Between that and the egg, it bakes okay. You gotta really make sure you don't overcook it though, because they will taste dry and not good. It's actually better to undercook them a little bit. Haven't tried that without the egg, so you do need the egg if you're gonna cook it. Don't need the egg if you're gonna put something like this in. I got this on Amazon. You just put a pinch of that in too, and between that and the fats, it keeps it from actually freezing if you put it in the freezer, and it makes it sort of like an ice cream. I mean, this is the other stuff. I've had better luck with the guar gum. Made it like sort of like a frozen fudge, more than an ice cream, but it was really good, and it adds some variety to what you're eating. Baking them, I mean, they're not going to taste like brownies or cookies exactly, but they're good. They're sort of like, almost like you're eating a meal bar or something, like a cross between a cookie and a meal bar. And the ice cream, the frozen stuff, it's just a different flavor for it. So those are the other ingredients. What else we got? Oh, my special oil. This is just, I melt coconut oil in here because I like to use coconut oil, but obviously it's a solid unless it's somewhat warm. Put this on your stovetop and just put a real low flame or low heat and warm that up. Put some coconut oil in it, and you can use the coconut oil. If you're going to put the egg in, don't get it too hot and put the egg in last so it doesn't like cook the egg before you mix it up, because then it just tastes really weird. So that's another thing you can do. On this, yeah, the oil is melted coconut oil. I mean, you can throw some MCT oil in there if you want, which I did, but I don't know if that even makes any sense because you've already got your MCTs with your coconut oil. But, you know, if you just want it to be higher, but you're not trying to spend money on constantly consuming pure MCT oil, you can throw that in there. And it's also got, I think, some canola oil and some olive oil in there. But it's just a good mix of oil. So I like to have MCT oil in here because that obviously helps with keto a lot. And I like to have other oils. So it's nice to just kind of have it all in one jar. And then I can just grab this and scoop, scoop, or scoop, 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 or scoop, 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 and then put in your protein. And obviously you can make this into a bigger bowl and make like a big batch of it and a bunch of cookies or whatever. It's pretty easy to calculate it out, the calories in each one. And I mean, that's pretty it. That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but I probably am. And if I am, I'll have to, I don't know, make another video or something. Hope this will help some of you guys out there. I know that sometimes being satiated on keto, despite popular belief, can be difficult. I mean, you crave carbs and stuff, and this can help with the carb cravings a little bit, I think, because it tastes kind of like you're eating dessert. But, you know, if you're interested, give it a try. I'm sure, you know, I'm guessing you guys are out there that are even interested in this already have some whey protein and stuff. Might have to get yourself some monk fruit. But if you have any, like stevia, or even if, you know, I mean, aspartame is not, supposedly not so good for you, but if you have some, you can at least try this out. I mean, I think it tastes better with the monk fruit, but if you try it with some others, you have at least an idea of what it's going to taste like. And if it totally sucks, you know, don't go out of your way to buy a bunch of monk fruit or anything. Although monk fruit is good for a lot of things, so you might want to get it anyways. But this stuff, definitely recommend it. I like that it's got a little bit of protein in it, because sometimes I don't want to just be drinking pure fat. For almond milk, if I want to do that, I put this in it because I think it tastes great. It's a little expensive though, but I think that's it. I'm going to leave it at that, and if I forgot anything, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, okay, so I did forget one important thing. I didn't add the egg into that calorie count or the keto ratio. It was a small, medium egg, so I think it was 60 calories. So it's not gonna throw your ratio off very much. But the eggs that I have are 6 grams of protein, 4 grams of fat, which works out to, you know, 50-50 on the fat protein calories, since grams have more calories. But you can add that into your equation. The protein is usually around 24 grams of protein, so you're getting about 30 grams of protein. Keto ratio, 300 or 400 calories. You know, it could be 400 or 500 calories. And, you know, like I said, this is sort of an alternative to a protein shake. If you're not trying to do keto at all, you could just throw in enough almond milk or, you know, something like that, instead of the calorie dense fats. And I mean, if you're just trying to drink pure whey protein, you know, and mix it with water, I haven't tried that. It probably wouldn't taste very good, but that's not really who this is for. You got to add a little something to it. But if you add the almond milk, I mean, yeah, you're adding a little fat to it, but you're still going to get mostly protein, and mix it up, and you're still going to be eating something instead of drinking it, and it's going to make you, and this stuff, I mean, it's sticky. When they say stuff sticks to your ribs, like, yeah, this is calorie dense, but, and I'm not saying that this is like, you know, one of those fluffy, low calorie, stick to your ribs thing, but it is a stick to your ribs thing, even though it's somewhat high calorie. And my point is that it's going to be more satiating than a protein shake. um, so, oh, that's the other thing. If you want, you can add in peanut butter, which has no label on it. I tore it off. That adds a few carbs, but it also adds to that it makes it more filling to me, I think, because you get that just the flavor and the texture of peanut butter is filling to me. But anyways, just wanted to point out the egg. Oh yeah, and here's another thing I forgot to mention. Coconut milk. I found this stuff just sitting in the kitchen. I don't even know who bought it in the house because I live with other people. But this stuff, it doesn't taste all that great straight out of the can, I don't think, but it definitely works for putting into this mixture. And it's, virtually zero carbs. And it's 7 grams of fat. So this is like pure fat. Definitely keto friendly. It says reduced fat on it. I'm wondering how much the regular stuff has in fat. But, you're still adding pure fat. Either way, you just need more volume to add more fat. But this has been good stuff. It's sitting in a can up on the shelf, so it stays good for a long time. And like when I'm out of my other stuff, this is pretty good in a pinch. So there you go. One thing I forgot to mention here is that you can also just add water a little bit if you want. Doesn't take much. And also, if you add more cocoa and less monk fruit, it's going to give it more of a dark chocolate taste, which personally I like.